The drivers for that increase in net migration almost equally split between EU and non-EU migrants. Part of that Britain can't do anything about, part of it can. Do we need new ideas?
Yeah, we do. What we need to have is an Australian-style point system where we don't discriminate against people from outside the EU in favour of unconditional free movement to those inside the EU. And we need to draw the terms of who we want much more clearly. I mean, if we have a skills shortage within the UK economy, then fine, let's have people coming into Britain. At the moment, we simply don't do that. And what we're seeing, of course, and the reason that the numbers coming from the EU are now very much bigger than the numbers coming from the rest of the world, is we've admitted countries like Bulgaria and Romania into a political union with us. Now, I said 2 years ago this would lead to a very large number of people coming into the country. I was laughed at, but I'm afraid it's proved to be true. Because look, the minimum wage in Britain is 9 times higher than the minimum wage in Romania. So these are the main drivers.
The figures for people coming in from the EU actually slightly lower than non-EU migrants, but only just. Looking at that wider issue of the migrant crisis that we're seeing unfolding across Europe now, and of course we can't conflate those scenes directly with these latest figures on net migration into Britain. But do you hold any hope of this conference in Vienna, this summit in Vienna, coming up with any useful ideas when there is already such a flow, people who are trying to move northwards into Northern Europe, indeed into the UK?
Yeah, I spoke on this in April, face to face with Mr. Juncker, the President of the European Commission, in April. What the EU have done is they've implemented a common asylum policy. The difficulty with it is that the terms of who qualifies for asylum are set so broadly that, frankly, it extends to countless millions. And we're beginning to see a sort of biblical exodus of people crossing the Mediterranean, knowing that they will all be accepted when they get to Italy or get to Greece.
You're saying that there's got to be a toughening up of asylum policy rather than expecting individual EU countries to accept their fair share of people?
I think the EU's common asylum policy is flawed. It never foresaw the events in North Africa and the Middle East. And what they need to do is to look at the example of the Australians, who in 2008 faced very much the same crisis, with boats of people coming to Australia, boats capsizing, people drowning, all the same things that we've seen over the course of 2015. And the Australians just said, look, you will not get into Australia if you come via this route. They were absolutely clear about it, and the boats stopped coming.